associate directors for in-state recruitment here at the University of Florida. And first off, thank you so much for joining us tonight. So my goal tonight is just to provide you a little bit of information about our application process, some of the great programs that we have here at UF, how you can visit us, and then I'll open up the last 5 or 10 minutes for any questions that you may have about the University of Florida, our application process, or anything else, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. So just a little bit about me before we get started. I am a 2-time Gator grad myself, and I'm also from the Gainesville area. So when I talk about Gainesville, I'll probably sound a little bit biased, but I promise, a great place to grow up, a great place to go to school. My parents left me alone for all 5 years. Usually it was me bothering them on Sundays because I was out of laundry money and wanted a nice home cooked meal. So I did a lot there, but I really enjoyed my time at UF, and I'm really passionate about sharing my experience and what I was able to accomplish there, and hopefully what you've been able to accomplish there as well. So just a little bit about Gator Nation itself. So we're about 38,000 total undergrad students. We're close to about 60,000 total students once you add in graduate students, professional students, and UF Online. So we come from all 50 states, 112 countries, and Gainesville and UF is a very welcoming community. There's lots of ways to make your mark in that community and on campus itself. There are 3 dining halls for students to eat at, as well as more than 45 other locations to grab a bite. So the options of food choices are endless. And then if you like to do things outside, Gainesville is a great place for that. One of my favorite places to stop by during the year is Lachua Trail. It's a great little state park here in Gainesville, Florida. A great place to see our mascot, lots of alligators out there. I took my family last spring, and my oldest counted 200 gators out there. So as long as you're faster than whoever you're with, you should make it off that trail just fine. So I'll kind of jump into what our profile looked like last year as far as our admission stats are concerned. So this is from last year's profile. We're still in the process of releasing our decisions for this year's class, so we have not had a chance to do that yet. So this is last year's profile. That GPA you see there is going to be recalculated by our office. And so our admissions website outlines how we do that process, but just as a quick refresher, if you haven't had a chance to look at that yet, any honors classes a student takes, or pre-AP or pre-IB or pre-Cambridge, is going to be worth an additional half point of weighting. And then anything AP, IB, Cambridge, or dual enrollment is going to be a full point of weight as long as it's in that core academic area. We don't have a preference in terms of what type of rigor you take, just as long as you're taking advantage of those opportunities that are available at your school. Those ACT and SAT, those are our middle 50%. So of course, we got about a quarter of our students admitted above that and about a quarter of our students below that. And we're looking holistically at our students during that review process, and I'll touch on that just a little bit more. So don't be discouraged if you're, just inside or just outside or just above those numbers. Those don't guarantee an automatic admittance or denial based upon that, since we are looking holistically at what the student is doing inside and outside of the classroom. So new this past admission cycle, we added an early action timeline, and we expect to keep that the same going forward. So just check our website to stay up to date on that. But we do expect to have that November 1st deadline again for early action with a materials deadline of November 15th. What we mean by materials is just including the SAR for us. So that's the student self-reported academic record. And that is actually where the students will input their grades for high school. So let us know the courses that they took in 9th, 10th, 11th grade, as well as the level and what the student earned in those courses. They'll also let us know what courses they intend to take for senior year, and that is part of our review process. So we definitely want to see students who are still choosing to challenge themselves that senior year, whether it's through AP, IB, Cambridge, or dual enrollment courses. And then after we have made our decisions to admit students, we will go back and review those to make sure that the classes they listed are correct and that their grades that senior year are in line with what ultimately got them admitted. And so we do expect to release those early action decisions again in mid-January, and then we'll have our regular decision timeline of January 15th with the materials deadline of the 31st, and then sometime in mid-March we'll have those regular decisions out. So right now we're currently working on releasing our regular decisions, so next Friday the 14th we will have those decisions out for our students who are still awaiting that opportunity. Students always ask, well, which one should I apply for? I encourage students to apply, when they're ready. For most students, I tell them, if you know UF is on your list, go ahead and apply early action. You've got your materials in, you've got your test scores in, and we'll go ahead and make that review for you going forward. But ultimately, it's up to the student on what timeline they want to choose to apply under. So as I mentioned, we do review holistically. So we're looking at both academic and non-academic features of that student's application process. So obviously on the academic side, we're looking at the high school grades, the regular schedule, the academic GPA, and those test scores. So we do require a test score, either ACT, SAT, or the CLT. You may have noticed that the CLT did not have a middle 50% listed on that last year's profile. We did not have enough students submit those scores, so we did not have a middle 50% that we put out for that. As far as the non-academic side is concerned, you'll see that list there. We're really looking to get a feel for what is that, student doing outside of the classroom, right? So what are their extracurriculars? How are they volunteering? Do they have family responsibilities? Any special talents? Of course, they'll do the Common App essay, list any honors or awards they've earned, their personal background, or any other extenuating circumstances. So what I tell students is we're trying to get, the best picture we can of that student, both academically and non-academically, to kind of make that ultimate decision on whether or not to admit that student. There's no letters of recommendation. There are no interviews. So it's really on the student to be the biggest advocate to let us know all those great things that they've been doing. And so I typically tell students, after you've done your application, if it feels like you've been bragging on yourself, then you've done a good job sharing the information with us. And so that when our team reviews those applications, we'll get a full, complete, and clear picture for that student. So as far as our pathways that we have, so students can either be admitted into the fall term or the summer term. So we do not admit by term. So sometimes students feel like it's easier to get into summer versus fall, but ultimately we're trying to build the best class that we can. And so we do our best to match up students with their preferred term, but ultimately we probably start about a third of our students during that summer term. So if someone applies for fall, we still consider them for that summer term. Same thing if someone's applying for summer, we're considering them for that fall start as well. So pick the term that you would most likely want to start. And then, like I said, we'll do our best to match that up. You'll see that we have a couple other pathways for entrance at UF. Number one is the honors program, which I'll touch on another slide in just a moment. Our Innovation Academy is going to be something that a student is also going to have to apply for. The biggest difference with Innovation Academy is its schedule. So they take classes in the spring, they take classes in the summer, and then the students will be during the fall term. Basically that's kind of like their time off. So they can choose to take classes online if they want, not for that first fall, but starting any additional falls after that. They do have the opportunity to live on campus while they are part of Innovation Academy. They can go to sporting events. And so the biggest thing I tell students, number one, is your major has to fall within Innovation Academy, and you do need to write an essay for consideration, and you do need to be okay with how their summer and spring schedule works out. The other pathway they have is PACE, or Pathway to Campus Enrollment. That's one of our hybrids between UF Online and UF On Campus. Unlike the honors program and unlike Innovation Academy, the students will not actually apply for PACE consideration. Essentially, if they have chosen a major that is eligible to start in PACE and we have not chosen to start that student in the summer or the fall term, they will be given that PACE consideration. At that point, if they choose to accept that offer, they will start through UF Online. It is a minimum of 2 semesters through UF Online. Once they have at least 60 credits and all the prerequisites for their major, then they will start on campus after that. There is an optional fee package, so if a student wants to move to Gainesville their freshman year, they're able to still go to sporting events, use the Student Healthcare Center, the gym, and all those additional campus resources that we have. So if a student wants that as a possibility, make sure that they're choosing a major that it does fall within that PACE majors. We do not admit by major, so please feel free to put down any major you want. And typically students have to kind of lock down that major choice by about halfway through their sophomore year. For honors program consideration, there is an additional essay that the student needs to complete for that. So we're going to be looking at them holistically, just like we would for general admission students. And I would encourage students to do their research on the honors program, see why they want to participate in it, outside of wanting to live in the brand new beautiful honors village, as you'll see at the bottom of that picture there. So students who are in the honors program do have priority for living there on campus. And then starting with the second semester, the honors program also gets advanced registration. But in addition to that, they get an honors advisor that is in addition to the regular college advisor that they have for their particular program. Numerous activities and ways to stay involved, clubs and organizations. It's a very collaborative group of students. So they definitely preach collaboration over competition. It does not hurt a student's application or help it in any way. In terms of applying for the honors program, we have lots of students who apply for honors who ultimately start as a general education student. And then you can also apply for the honors program at the end of your freshman year if you meet certain requirements set forth by the honors program. And so then you have that additional opportunity to be considered for that. Our students are very successful when they come to UF. So we have a 97% freshman retention rate. And so, basically what that means is, just about every student who starts with us does come back for that following summer or that following fall term, because we have a lot of resources in place to help make sure our students are successful here on our campus. As I mentioned earlier, as far as majors are concerned, we do not admit by major. So I always encourage students to feel free to pick whatever major it is that you want to do. If you have no idea, that is okay. You can, once you come to campus, you can meet with our advisors. You can work with our Career Connection Center to kind of talk about some of the possibilities that exist here at UF and what your ultimate goals are and how to get there and what majors may fit in those goals for you. So you take your time. If you put something down that you don't ultimately want to do, you still have that ability to change that once you come to our orientation, as long as it's still within your given pathway of acceptance here at UF. Students are very active on our campus. They enjoy doing study abroad opportunities. So last year we had over 2,600 students do study abroad in some capacity at over 56 different countries across the globe. So our students really like getting out there, and there's lots of different ways to do that, whether you're looking at a whole year program, a semester-long program, a summer-long program, or perhaps a week-long program sponsored by one of our professors during one of those breaks that we have on our campus. So I would encourage you, once you're here, go ahead and check out our college fairs that we have on campus from our International Center. They do one in the spring and one in the fall to let you know of what study abroad opportunities exist for those students and how to get involved with that, and then some of the ways that students can offset some of those costs through different scholarships. As an R1 research institution, UF is doing a lot of great things across many different disciplines. So over the last cycle, we had over $1 billion in research funding. And so we have a full center for undergraduate research. So undergraduates are able to be involved in research if that's something that they want to do. And we do have a number of students who come in through our honors program as part of our University Research Scholars Program who are able to take some of those introductory research options very early on and kind of learn about that research process, and it also comes with additional scholarship as well. So I would encourage you to check out our Center for Undergraduate Research, see what great things we have going on, and what things you might want to be interested in while you're here, if that's something that you're looking to do. These are our tuition and fees for the academic year. So if we have any updates, our website will update that, but that is based on 15 credit hours a semester. That is just for our tuition. So if this student has Bright Futures or Florida Prepaid, they would go towards those costs. Once you factor in housing, once you factor in books and meals and all the other stuff, you're probably looking at about 20,000 or so, dependent upon where the student is living and what type of food they want to get or what their additional activities are that they're doing. But based upon 30 credit hours for the year, it is going to be $6,380. All students are automatically considered for merit-based scholarships at the time of application, and those are reviewed holistically as well. So a student does not need to send in any additional application for any of our merit-based scholarships, and typically we'll release those decisions approximately 1 to 2 weeks after our decisions go out. So we already released one round of merit-based scholarships for our early action students, and then we'll plan to release another round after our regular decisions go out next week. In addition to that, we do have need-based aid as well. So I always encourage students to go ahead and complete that FAFSA form once it opens up. Typically, it's in October, and essentially that will help our financial team look at any other available funding options that we have on our campus, whether it be through grants and aid or other scholarships or loan options. But about 80% of our students are able to graduate debt-free due to our low cost of attendance, Bright Futures, Florida Prepaid. So there's a lot of great stuff out there to help offset some of those costs, and our financial team does a great job working with our students and families. As far as living on campus, you do not have to live on campus, but a lot of our students do. We were sitting close to about 100% capacity last year for our residence hall. So what I typically recommend for students is anyone who is considering living on campus, once you've submitted that application through the Common App, about 24 to 48 hours later, you will be given your login information to your Gator portal. On that Gator portal, it's going to have your UFID. You will need that UFID to go ahead and submit a housing application. Essentially, what that will do is it will hold your space in line. So it's $25. And then if you are admitted to housing, we'll defer back to that initial housing application to essentially hold your spot in line to give you a better priority of where you would like to live on our campus. But it does not mean you have to, but I would encourage you, if you have any interest in living on campus, to go ahead and do that as well. I lived on campus during my freshman year. I lived in a traditional style dorm, and I had a great time. I really enjoyed meeting people. So we have your traditional style dorm, we have apartment style, suite style. So if you check out our housing website, it'll kind of give you more information in terms of what we have available and what some of those costs look like. As I mentioned, our students love to be active and involved. So we have over 1,000 different clubs and student organizations on our campus. So you name it, you think of it, we probably have it in some capacity. If somehow you make it through all 1,000 of those clubs and nothing seems to fit you, you are able, we can get you a sponsor. We can help you get one of those brand new clubs off the ground. So whether you're looking for an academic club or pre-med club or a pre-law club or fraternities or sororities, whatever it is that you're interested in, we have those on our campus. And I would encourage you to find a way to be involved in that. So what I typically tell students is find something that you're going to like, find something you have a little bit of interest in, and then maybe find something that is completely out of your comfort zone, and just try it and see what it's like. Worst comes to worst, you don't like it, you drop back and you pick a different club to join. But I would definitely encourage students to take advantage of those great options that we have on our campus. As you get closer to graduation, and even when you start at campus, you definitely want to make sure you get connected with our Career Connection Center. They are going to do a great job, especially at the beginning of your time. If you're kind of not sure what you want to do, they have some great career inventories that you can kind of check in with them to kind of figure out what some of your strengths and some of your weaknesses and kind of what majors might fit for you. But as you get closer to graduation, you can do some career planning with them. They'll work on your cover letter with you, your resume, do some mock interviews, and then they put on 2 great career fairs both in the fall and the spring. That is in addition to anything that your particular college or program might offer you as well. So go to their Career Connection Center, talk to their advisors, take them up on the resources. The career link is pretty cool. We have about 1,200 unique postings a month that go on that. And so you'll have access to that through your GatorLink information, which is what you typically use to sign on our campus. So we know you have a big choice to make over these, next couple of years on where you ultimately want to attend. UF is great affordable tuition, a huge supportive community, and we've got measurable outcomes, through our Career Connection Center and our students being successful. So they're typically right now, their average starting salary is about $10,000 more than the national average, and they're going on to do great things, not only here in Florida, but across the globe as well. So I would encourage you, if you haven't had a chance to do so, come visit our campus. If you scan this QR code right here, this will get you signed up for any visit opportunities that we currently have. So right now, we're doing a combination between admitted student tours as well as prospective student tours. So the availability is not as high as it usually is, since we've got those admitted tours going out in the morning. But come around May 1st, we should have full availability again as far as what tours are available. We also have different tours based upon the college of interest. So if you want to look at something in business or engineering or journalism or liberal arts and sciences or ag and life sciences, you can actually sign up for an additional tour, oftentimes the same day. So they can get a general campus tour. You'll be able to speak with an admissions officer and then go ahead and meet with one of the particular colleges to see how that might fit for your ultimate goals going forward. So a big part of this process is definitely doing your research. Come to our campus, come to any other campus that you're looking at, ask questions. I definitely advise contacting our office. We know there's a lot of information out there in terms of, what is kind of true, or, some things that they heard from someone else. So just call our office. We're always welcome and able to talk to students and families and counselors about specific questions that they might have. So if you'd like to connect with us, there is all of our handles for social media. And then I will drop our email in the chat as well. So if you have any additional questions, you're welcome to do that. So at this time, I will go ahead and see if there's any questions in the chat. And I'll take a look at that. So I do see a question in there. If a student completes their associates after they graduate high school, please still apply as a freshman. We do have a question on there that says, if you are graduating with your AA degree, let us know. Essentially what that will do is it will allow us to give you freshman consideration first. If we can admit that student as a freshman, we will. They'll still bring all those credits over. If the student is not admitted as a freshman, then we will have the opportunity to consider them at the transfer level. If the student does opt into that consideration, they do need to declare a major and make sure they have all prerequisites for that particular intended major, and then we will forward that application out to that particular program for them to make a decision. All right. If a student is deferred from UF and enrolls at Santa Fe College, is there a benefit to enrolling at Santa Fe before they transfer to UF? So if a student chooses to go to Santa Fe College, starting this summer, there are going to be 14 majors within liberal arts and sciences that do have an automatic admission to UF after completing it there. But outside of that, we don't give preference to Santa Fe over any other state institution. It is very, we do have a lot of students that transfer from Santa Fe due to the proximity. So I would encourage a student to pick the best state college that works for them, make sure the student gets the AA degree and is aware of any prerequisites that they need in order to transfer and to be competitive with a particular GPA. And are there majors that actually start their courses on the U of campus? So we do have a couple pathways at Santa Fe. Just like PACE, student is not able to apply for those pathways that start at Santa Fe. There's a couple through Gator Engineering and Gator Design and Construction. And I think that may be what you're referring to, but if a student wants consideration for that, they just need to make sure that they've selected one of those eligible majors that are listed on the Gator Engineering website or the Gator Design and Construction website. It doesn't mean they will start there, but it means that it could be a possibility for them. So I believe we have a few on-campus housing options that have a full private kitchen, but those aren't as common, and housing would have to direct you on how to best try to get there, since priority was usually going to students who may need specific accommodations or for students who are upperclassmen. Yes, we do we're very mindful of students who may have allergens. And so we have them, we always have one station at each that is free from the 9 major allergens. And if a student has more specific needs, they can actually get in contact with our nutritionist and they can kind of create their menu. They can send in their order and then have that meal prepared for them to pick up. So we want to make sure that they're able to do that. Sure. So if a student is deferred from early action, it just means that we need some additional time to review their application for consideration. So they do not have to send in any additional information or any other updated grades. We have everything we need. The only thing that they could send in is if we didn't have their most up-to-date test scores, they're welcome to do that. But we'll still consider them for any possible pathways. Sure. So, and then in terms of mission, how many credits of world language does a student need? So they have to have at least 2 years of a foreign language or the equivalent of that second level. So if a student took a foreign language in middle school and was awarded high school credit for it, that would absolutely count. Or if a student simply took Spanish 2 or AP Spanish and didn't have the others on there, that would count. So we're basically looking for the second level and above. Correct. For the Gator Design and Construction program, they do not need to fill out an additional application. Students are selected for that program by the engineering department themselves. So if we are not able to offer admission to start on campus in either the summer or the fall, but they have selected one of those majors, then that program will make that determination on whether or not to offer them a spot. It's completely up to the student on whether they want to complete their associates before graduating high school. That is a decision that we leave up to students and families on what they want to do is in regards to that. So some students want the traditional 4-year college experience, and some students want to accelerate their time through that college experience. So ultimately, it's up to the student and what they want to do. When should high school students start the honors program? If that's in relation to like your particular classes at your school, that's up to you and kind of how you build out your schedule from honors to AP or IB or Cambridge. If you're talking about the honors program at UF, that would start in the fall of their first semester if they're admitted into that program. As far as our medical options at UF, so we do not have a set pre-med major, so students are able to choose any major that they want. We do have a pre-health advising office, so regardless of what career field they're looking at in the medical space, they can meet with the advisors to make sure they're taking the right prerequisite courses and what available options to kind of help strengthen their application as they move towards undergraduate graduation. We also have a health sciences track that also incorporates a lot of the pre-professional courses that a student would need. It kind of gives them a general background into a lot of those medical jobs and options. So is there benefit to being in an honors program when you transfer with your A degree? So if you're talking about like an honors program from another state college, ultimately we're going to be looking at the rigor of those courses. And so that would, that sounds like it would be another achievement to put on a student's application. And we're going to look at, the same thing holistically. What is that student done overall? I got a question here about the transfer process. So I touched on that briefly, but basically, if a student wants to transfer, what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to have their AA degree from one of the state colleges here in Florida. If they choose not to go to state college, that's fine. They can go to another university, earn 60 credits, and then make sure all prerequisites are complete. So I always recommend students talk to the colleges or program that they're looking to be involved in to make sure the prerequisites that they need to take are correct, and that their timeline for when they want to apply is correct as well. And then you can always call our office and talk to our transfer team. Yes, so Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 are both high school credit and they're done in middle school. That will still count for meeting our requirements for consideration at the freshman level. Sure. As far as law programs, so again, like our pre-med, we don't have a pre-law major. You'll be up to you to figure out what major you ultimately want to choose. And then we have a pre-law advising office who will work with our students to make sure they're getting in touch with the right experiences and as they get closer to finishing their undergraduate degree as they prepare for law school. There's different pre-law organizations on our campus that a student can also choose to be involved in. No, we don't care and volunteer hours, more well-known organizations value than others. We're just looking at, what opportunities has that student had and how did they share the information with us, right? So definitely be detailed in what you've been doing. Sometimes students don't always give us the full picture in terms of what their involvement looked like. So use that space to your advantage. I typically tell students stay away from acronyms because I don't know what they all are. So spell it out for us and give us a clear picture of what you've been doing and how you've been spending your time. Is there a way to check what high school courses qualify for college credit transfer? So essentially, we on our website, for example, if you take an AP or IB or Cambridge exams, we do have an exam credit website that does outline what test credit we award. If you are taking anything at a state college or state university here, as long as those course numbers are the same and the course digits are the same as us, it's a one-to-one equivalent. And so we'll be able to take those courses as long as they're not remedial or vocational or developmental in nature. Yeah, so IB is going to be considered a high level of rigor, right? So any IB class, just like AP or Cambridge, is going to get that additional full point of weight in that review process. So we know it's a very rigorous program, and so we do reward students in that additional weighting GPA, just like we would for AP, IB, Cambridge, or those dual enrollment courses in that core academic area. Yep, same thing for ACE, and that's when I'm referring to Cambridge, that's what I'm talking about. Exactly. Mhm. Yeah, so I would say let us know any certifications you have. Definitely let us know. So keep it anything you've been doing, we want to know, right? We can't make any assumptions about our students. So we really rely on you to let us know what you've been doing. If a student has bright futures, my understanding is that it would still work with that, but you can confirm that with our financial aid office. As far as dual enrollment affecting the overall college costs, it depends. So most majors are about 120 credits. Engineering is typically 128. So it really just depends on what you're coming in with. But I do see that we're coming up on our time, so I will go ahead and put our email address in here. So if you have any additional questions, please feel free to email us at freshman@admissions.ufl.edu. I may respond to it or someone else. We have a big team that takes care of all that. So we're happy to answer as many questions as we have come through, but I really appreciate taking the time tonight to talk to us. I see one more question coming in about the SAT scores. So SAT, ACT, and CLT are part of that consideration. I tell students it's one part of that equation. It is not the end all be all. So do your best, and then we'll review that with the rest of the information you provided to us. And finally, we'll end on this. What advice would you give to stand out? I think number one is just complete the application to the best of your ability, right? So you really got to let us know like what you've done, and then we're writing in that essay, make sure you're highlighting you, the student. I've read a lot of great essays that talk a lot about their parents or their counselors or their siblings or their coaches, but really make sure you're the focus of that application there. All right. So with that, I will conclude and thank you very much for your time. Have a great night.